Do you think men are better at leading than women?
Yes.
Why?
Why are men better at leading than women? Because I think that when there is circumstances where you have to make
Ooh,
a
I'm
very
excited for
big
this.
choice where it can have a big consequence. I think men are better at making choices.
So emotional regulation, where they can be quick thinkers,
I think that
make
man
decisions based off of based off of emotional strategy rather than like any sort of direct harm right away. If that
like
makes
let me
any
give
sense.
you an example, right? Ready? I've had a girlfriend, right? I have a girlfriend right now,
Bullshit.
and she goes through her process like any other woman. But
Menstrual
when she's in
cycle.
when she's in a like ovulation, I don't know how to. I still forget how to say that correctly.
Ovulation.
Yeah,
Hey,
ovulation.
Gavin, stop.
She doesn't control her emotions as well.
So that's actually false. Ovulation. Sorry. Um. Yeah, no, so ovulation doesn't actually create a high stress hormone. It's typically within the menstrual cycle itself. Um, ovulation, do you know what ovulation is?
She has explained it to me, but like she gets kind of creepy if you know what I'm trying to say. She wants to commit sins and stuff, which she doesn't know how to control her emotions properly. I'm like, yo, chill.
Holy fucking lie.
I'm
That you don't have a
my
girlfriend.
right.
Okay, so just because men don't have a menstrual cycle means that they are better at handling their emotions.
Like, let me give you an example, right?
You already gave me an example. I understand.
Think of the administration that we have had in power.
Okay, I don't want to talk about that because I don't live in America.
Oh,
We're not going to speak on that, okay?
How about I just like the EQ? Women have a higher EQ on average. Men commit more violent crime. Violent crime is hand in hand with obviously emotions, right? Obviously, men commit more violent crime. There's your examples to prove you wrong. Women are more
sure.
better with their emotions.
So if you're gonna give me points like this, you can like actually look this up, and it evidence backs it up. When a woman makes a crime, they are less likely to be caught because of the ways that they commit crimes. So let me give you an example, right? If a woman is actually gonna unalive a person, they're gonna do it through methods that are very hard to detect. Like they use poison, they use shrugs, they use medical, procedures and stuff. You can look it up. Like a woman lasts
Medical
longer in a
procedure.
spree. A woman can last longer in a spree compared to a man.
So women are smarter than men, basically, is what you're saying.
No, what I'm saying is that because he's saying that men actually commit more crimes than women. I'm telling you
violent crimes,
that
Saying they're
women
smarter than men
women
because they're able to hide
women are
it.
better at hiding
Hold on,
crimes.
hold on.
Okay.
Women commit more violent. Men commit more violent crime. Go ahead, Ellie, take it away.
Yeah, and even though like you had mentioned that, like I think you're just kind of confused on what the whole point of what Jeremiah actually said. Okay? And I want you to give me a source on why women would be more successful in hiding evidence compared to men.
Well, I can give you a source. You can
Yes.
look up Eric W. Hickey, but you can look up also I think it's Corby in 2004. He actually did a research on this, and actually he told me that well, and he didn't tell me. He said that women are better at hiding things. Like for example, if a man is actually being a predator, you can see it
Oh,
through things like him being aroused or something, things like that, right? With a woman, you cannot see that because you cannot physically see it.
okay, so either way you cannot see somebody's emotions. I'm sorry to break it to you.
Like, let me give you an example. If a man
Oh
is
my
actually if a man is aroused by a kid, he can actually, like, I'm being honest, he can get hard and stuff, right? With a woman, she cannot show those emotions.
Okay.
You think I'm playing?
No, but I understand what you're saying, okay? But I think this is where you're getting extremely confused, okay? Because here's the thing: is like you're going off of a
I gave you a
biological.
crazy example, but still, it makes sense.
To be clear.
No, because the biological claim is extremely overstimulated here, or oversimplified.
What, you're overstimulated right now?
To be clear, anyone who commits pedophilia is a bad person, man or woman. Just saying. I'll put that out there. Make it clear. Ellie, continue.
Yeah, no, because both men and women can show psychological responses to arousal, right?
That is true. That is
It,
very
it's
true.
not accurate to say one sex can't show it. Also behavior, right? Like
I was gonna say, it doesn't. It's
yeah,
not just about getting hard.
like there's
What?
no clean like generalized thing sorry. Like there's no context you can use in sense of behavior that you can use as evidence to actually say like this is a paraphilic disorder, right?
Mm,
Like, and the whole goal here is to actually come down to leadership management skills, and like that's where you're going way too far with
Yeah,
it.
but can you give me an example where a woman has led a country that has been successfully?
That's not what I'm saying right now, but I could do that, but I'm not going to because we're staying on the topic right now on why women are better at leading than men in
Now,
general,
why are
and
men
what's
better at leading than women?
but I'm telling you why women are better at leading. So I
Well,
want you to give me an
I can give you a source that
I
men
don't
are
want
better
you
than
I don't
women.
want you to give me any more examples. I want you to
Mhm.
give me your reason as to why you think that men are better at leading than women.
Why are men better at leading than women? Because we have seen it through history that when men have to actually just do something, they are better at doing it than women. Like for example, Trump
that's not
with it
true.
with this Iranian war, he has his own reasoning, and I do agree with it. Kamala, she would have not done that. She would have bent over
Yes,
for the IRGC.
How do you
that's
know
not
that?
true. But yeah. First off, it's good that she wouldn't have done that. 13 service members wouldn't have been dead. 164 schoolgirls wouldn't have been murdered. We wouldn't be with high gas prices. We would have been pre-pandemic prices in terms of gas, right? That's where we were heading pre-pandemic prices. It's a good thing that she wouldn't have done this. A and B. That's just like a pivot going from like why men are better at leading than women overall to specific examples of why in terms of like Trump and Harris. Obviously, you support Trump. We can see that, but in more general speaking, I mean, obviously, women perform better in surgery, right? You're more likely to survive if you're performed by a woman in
What
surgery.
about a
Driving, women
um?
are better at driving, etc.,
Whoa,
etc.
whoa, whoa, that's a crazy. Can you look up the statistics?
Yeah,
It's
Because
women,
true.
yeah, men,
personally,
men, men, men would get more into more. Men are more likely to speed. Men are more likely to get into car accidents. Why do you think women have a lower insurance rate?
per capita,
Why do you think women have a lower interest rate?
why do I think women have a lower interest rate? Because they're probably more than
Insurance,
likely
like paying.
insurance
Sorry,
rate. Oh,
yeah,
because
I fumbled. Only yeah, insurance.
um, yeah, yeah,
Insurance. Holy shit,
insurance,
yeah.
insurance, yeah. I think it's because they're
Because they're
probably
better at
more
driving.
likely to. Well, they probably are more likely to unalive themselves when driving.
I
It's
just
not
want to
true.
clarify here. I want to go back to what he said before because I think we're going on like a whole thing here now, and I think it's way too far. I want to go back to what you said about history, right?
Mhm.
Because there's a huge flaw in your logic, right? Because history, like you're just saying, history shows men are better leaders, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So for most of history, women were legally and socially um restrained
Suppressed.
from yeah, suppressed from being leaders, right? So like they couldn't vote,
Mhm.
they couldn't lead
Open a bank
institutions.
account,
Yeah, exactly, right?
own a
So
house.
of course most leaders were men, but that's not proof that they're um better at leading, right? Just
And
like 'cause women have been suppressed for so long. We got to think about it that way, right? So like I think this is what you're confusing. Like you're measuring who's better um like or sorry, you're not
Historically.
you're not measuring who's better, you're measuring who's allowed to lead.
And to corroborate this, I mean, just to prove you like wrong, and to add what Ellie's saying, like again to recap, you're saying that because men overwhelmingly are leaders, that's why they're better at leading. Well, men overwhelmingly are surgeons, but like I said, like I pointed out in the example, you're more likely to survive if a woman operates on you in the surgery room,
Right.
even though they're minority, and that
What
proves
about
wrong.
physically? Wait. What about physically? Because to be a surgeon, I mean, you have to be up for like 10, 15 hours. Who do you think is more likely to be standing up, right, and doing a surgery for those 10 and 15 hours without actually just, taking a break or something, you think it's a woman or a man? Because for the
Again, it's a woman.
military,
So
Women
now
are
we're
better
shifting to
surgeons.
physicality, right?
no, because that matters too. Because when he's
Like
saying that a surgeon,
it's the truth that women are better like at surgery. It is true that you are most likely to survive. I mean, there was a study done with 1.4 million people over 7 different continents, right? And it
Mhm.
found that yes, women, if you are operated by a woman, you are most likely to survive. But under
And
your
wait,
worldview, because men are the majority, we would have to see that men are more likely to be better surgeons. But that just disproves your whole worldview. So just because someone's a majority doesn't mean that they're good at it.
right, and I just want to add on here too is like we're talking about leadership here. And now
Mhm.
you've switched to
No,
physical.
because when you say
No,
leading, I
wait, wait,
think
wait, wait,
that
wait, 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 wait. The thing is, you switch to physical and endurance and surgery, right? Those are not the same thing within leadership skills. Jeremiah's gave you an example on how their cognitive and
My,
emotional
my my
regulation
example was to
within.
prove that to prove his point wrong about just because men are overwhelmingly leaders, right? My example wasn't necessarily about like the cognitive aspect of it. My example was just to prove his narrative. Just because men are majority
Oh,
leaders
okay.
makes them better leaders, right? Because the
Yes.
correlation is men are most surgeons are men, yet they're not better at surgery. That's
Right.
the correlation.
And I just want to add on to that. It also does tie down with cognitive abilities
Right.
and their emotional well-being when it comes to certain strengths.
Yeah. So there are
like
different ways you can go with that, but the way I
so
got
so
to
so
it.
when you say leading, right? I would imagine that you're adding, the IQ of a person and also like the physical strength of a person, right? Because to be a leader doesn't just mean that you're just a better person at saying things or thinking or doing things, right? It can also mean that you're physically better.
Okay,
You know
so
what I
you're
mean?
talking. Well, okay, I'm gonna ask you something. What do you think leadership skills are?
Leadership skills, it's I think that,
Like, give me examples of different leadership skills.
leadership skills, decision making, right? Creativity, flexibility, sorry, honesty, I think negotiation skills, analytical skills. Those are some.
Okay, teamwork, precision. Could you also agree with that? Attention to detail.
Hmm.
Okay, right. We can see women outperform all of those compared to men.
But like, can you give me an instance where a woman has been a better negotiator than men in leadership skills?
Why do we have to go in
Wait,
specifics when we're
wait a
looking at the
second.
generality of it?
And not only that too, well, that's what we're kind of debating on. But not only that, but you're also getting too far into this, right? I think like that's where you're getting a little bit confused because like I don't know. I think there's many different leaders that we can see. Like God, what was her name? Angela, what was her last name? She what did she lead? Anyways, this girl, her name Angela. Her first name's Angela, okay? She negotiated at the highest international level for over a decade. Right? So what she had done was consistently held together really complex things that other people could not have done. Like within men. She was able to do that whereas a man probably would not.
I see. But like, I'm looking it up right now, right? The cycle between a man and a woman, and here it says that, typically a woman is more than likely to have a uh very emotional changes through her, hormonal cycle and stuff
Yeah.
than man.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. It is true. Do you know why women are built to have okay, let me explain this to you. So women do have strong emotional regulation and that's due to the fact that they are able to um be pregnant. Because they're able to create children, carry the pregnancy, right? So in general, women have been able to um have stronger emotional regulation compared to men due to the fact that they can um be pregnant. It's just like within biology, within neuroscience, we have seen that because of women's frontal lobe and their dendrites, women have more dendrites compared to men. So we see that they have a better performance when it comes to those neurotransmitter signals compared to men, which means that their emotional regulation, which is in the frontal lobe, is a lot stronger compared to men.
So when both are, so let me ask you this, right? When both are going through their, changes, um, who do you think has a better um possibility of making the best choice out of, a man or a woman?
Well, like, what do you mean both going through emotional
Like through
changes?
hormonal changes. Like let me give you an example, right?
Puberty?
Um, no, like hormonal changes, like a woman or a man, right? A man in his what is it called again? I forgot. Testosterone.
Testosterone levels?
Yeah, and a woman on her,
Menstrual cycle?
yeah.
Okay, so what was the question?
Who do you think is a better, like in that moment, right, while they're going through those changes? Who do you think has a better like a better way of responding to
Conflict?
a better way of responding to things?
Okay, sure. So it like, and I think I think you're a little bit confused here, okay? Because that's not how leadership is evaluated. I was explaining the neuroscience behind it, but leadership decisions aren't made at random hormonal peaks, right? Okay, they're made over time with systems. Um, um, what else? Elaboration, advisors, all those types of things, right? Um, but here's the thing, hormones like testosterone, estrogen, oh, what else was the last one? It's just the P. I can't remember. But those do influence mood and behavior. I can agree with you, right? Men and women both do experience hormonal fluctuations. But the thing is hormones affect everybody, right? We can both agree with that because we can see it. But there's no consistent evidence that women make worse decisions during their cycle, or that men make more stable decision that men are more stable decision makers overall.
Okay, and we're going kind of deep in this, but like if you had to make it, if you had to make a full inference, right? Who do you think is better at leading? Even we have history, we have had wars, we have had a lot of things that have passed in
Between
history.
men and women,
Yeah.
I would say a woman. I would say a woman would be way better with performing leadership skills compared to a man. In general, just because of all the things that I listed, like we can see that they do outperform on so many different levels, and their leadership skills are way more prominent compared to men.
So if they're better at leading, then why? So if you look up the statistics, I think that there are only 5% of women leading in the
Yes,
military.
and now we're going back to the beginning point of this, suppression.
You think
It
so?
wasn't. It was not that long ago that women were not able to vote, not able to open a bank account. They were legally and socially restricted from those things.
But like, do you know why women don't lead in the military?
Why women don't lead in the military?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, like there are many women that do lead in the military. I don't understand like what that question is.
What I'm telling you is like the overall percentage of men leading in the military is way more
So
than
now you're going to go
women.
back to physicality here. See, that's the thing, because I think just primarily here it's because of historical and structural barriers, right? Like, not because of ability in this sense. Like, military leadership isn't something you enter overnight, it takes decades of experience. So, if women were blocked from key roles until recently, you wouldn't expect equal representation at the top yet, right?
Exactly,
So
right.
what we can look,
Lack of
I,
combat experience.
yeah,
Exactly.
I can come to this conclusion, right? Because I want to let him bring other people. I do think that when you put a man and a woman into a room and they have to do some kind of technical work, I do probably think that women are better at leading because I just think that they have a higher IQ, right? They score higher on tests and stuff. But if I have to put a person, a male or a female, in combat, or I have to make them do something physical, I think that men are better at doing it because I'm looking here and it says that men have a 50 to 60 greater upper body strength than actual women, right? So I think that when it comes to leading, maybe women are better at leading in the office and men are better at leading outside. You
When
know.
it comes to like being president of the most powerful country in the world, and like holding the most powerful position in the world, I think it doesn't really matter if you're strong or not. I mean FDR,
Hmm.
right? He was in a wheelchair. I'm pretty sure, right? Was it FDR?
Hmm.
One of them was in a wheelchair. They were still able to lead, whether it was good or bad, but they were still able to lead, right? They wouldn't have been bad because they were in a wheelchair. My point
And
is here: when you're president of the United States, you don't have to be like strong. Donald Trump isn't
and
strong for sure.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
want to add on to that too, what Jeremiah's just said, because physical strength does matter for certain roles, like being in the military, right?
Right.
Absolutely. But the thing is leadership skills is all about decision making, coordination, communication, and judgment. So those aren't determined by who can lift more.
Right. But for the
But like
military, it's
I told
also
you, it all depends on the circumstances because
but
you
for
can
the
say that a
military, it's
person.
also for the military, it's also going to be like the historical lack of like combat experience, right?
And
Because
that's
obviously the
exactly what I
training,
had
you
mentioned
get
before.
training in the military, right? So
Mhm.
that's probably why we don't see like what you brought up, right? That's probably why that might be true to an extent, but I think it's just like misinterpreted, and it's because like women aren't like leading in the military
Yeah.
because they
So,
can
so,
or
so I got
whatever.
I got a question for you,
Wait,
Jeremiah. Do you
before you
watch
do,
sports? Oh,
before
sorry.
you do, there's one thing here, okay? Because here's the thing, because even in the military, physical fitness does matter for individual performance, but leadership is all about teamwork. We also got to think about that, right? It's how you direct others. So it
Mhm.
has nothing to do with physicality. So like it's not about how much you can personally endure. It's more of the fact of the actual cognitive ability when interacting with others and coordinating different factors within a teamwork environment.
And no, I don't watch any sports.
That's crazy. Oh, you don't watch any sports? I want to. Yeah, so I'm
I
I'm
do.
summarizing everything. You don't watch any sports. So can you please have you answer this right? Have you watched soccer
I
before?
do.
You have. Have you watched man and woman play?
Like the difference between a man and a woman play,
Yeah.
like
Have you watched both
in
of them
major
play
leagues.
like a whole
Yes,
female
I played
match?
soccer. Yes.
Okay, so with your logic, can you give me an explanation why, like, and you can be honest here, can you give me an explanation on why women are so bad at playing sports, specifically soccer?
Okay, so now you're just gonna pivot
Huh? I
to
mean, some people are
women are
just bad
bad.
at. Some people are just bad at. I'm bad at sports.
But
And
no,
I
no, no,
just
no,
I
no,
just
no,
I'm
want
fucking
Jeremiah.
I just
horrible at
Specifically,
I
sports.
just I just want to
specifically
add on to that
females.
too. Okay,
It's not
yeah, so
true.
that's just wrong. I'm sorry to
It's
tell
just
you,
like
that's just
not true,
wrong.
bro. What?
Are you sure?
Yes,
Yes. Ellie
I
was just
have.
telling you that she plays soccer. Ellie, did you play good?
I played very well. I played
Look,
very
look,
well. I
okay, okay,
played
okay. Listen,
striker.
listen. This might sound crazy,
Pretty sure
Jeremiah.
she'd cook you in a
Jeremiah,
soccer.
listen, listen. Okay, ready? Listen. There
Yeah.
was a team. There was a team of a whole professional female team, right?
Sure.
Professional playing in the
Some
best
teams are
league
just bad.
ever.
Some
Wait,
teams of
no.
men are
Listen,
bad.
listen. The best league, the best team played against high schoolers. I think it was like 16-year-old kids. And guess what?
Okay.
They lost
Okay.
9-0.
What about a best league for like men? Right. I mean, some leagues in terms of men, when it comes to soccer, football, when it comes
Hockey.
to basketball, they're horrible. Some teams are genuinely just trash, from what I've heard. No
And
offense
here's
to
the thing.
anyone that
Here's the
watches
thing.
sports,
Here's the
but
thing.
some
This has
teams are
really
trash.
nothing to do with anything because this
Leadership,
is
yeah.
huge category error. Like we're talking about leadership
No.
here, not athletic
Like
performance.
I suck at sports. Does that mean I can't be a good leader? No, I can still be a good leader.
Like I said, it all depends on what you're leading in.
What
Because I
the
think that
president
if
of the
you.
United States of America, you already agreed that a woman would be better because you agree to the premises of like women are have a higher EQ,
Well, I
IQ,
think that
whatever.
I think that if there was a president and she had to be in office 24/7, then she would be better at leading, right? A woman. But if there is a president making choices, like let's give an example, going to war, right? I
No,
think a man
no,
has better
no.
decision making.
No,
Women, Ellie
women
already
are
explained this
better
to
with
you.
emotional regulation. I've been over this.
Yeah,
The president would not be fighting in this war. They would be coordinating it. They would be using their leadership skills to
You don't think they
create a
coordinate
plan.
strikes and stuff?
They would be
like
doing that, and a woman would outperform a man because her emotional regulation is stronger. She would make decisions
But
off of
you
critical
okay, but like
thinking.
you can't give me any actual evidence because you're saying that women have been suppressed, correct?
Yes, that's factually true. You can see that throughout history.
All
if
right,
you want
Jeremiah, listen.
if you want an example, I'll just end with it's Germany. Right, that's a prominent example.